Worried when I crossed the Michigan line, a cop from Steuben County waiting on I-69. A headlamp went out while he pulled me over. Charged me with possession after I rolled down the window.
Now that's skunk.
Indians a trick when it comes to weed. It's like who doesn't smoke or use gummies? Your grandpa, your brother, your rich friend from school? Hell, throw in the whole courthouse and my attorney too. It's time those assholes change these stupid laws. It ain't worth the paper for a probable cause. Sitting on a bar stool in my usual place, this guy next to me said he was looking for some cocaine. Hell, I just sold him an 8-ball with a little piece off for me. But my buyer was a cop? Should have known he was a creep. So I'm a dealer, right? You gotta be kidding. It's a rich man's drug. I just take it because I'm injured. 8 years in Westville with a monkey in my back. There's more drugs in here than you can shake a shank at. One dirty drug test, man, this system's flawed. Undercover screwed me in my probable cause. Street crimes never did me no favors. I'm hooked on Fetty. I'm a junkie, not a felon. Told that son of a bitch on the way to lockup. I can't seem to shake it. I need help, not mocking. What do you want from someone who's been through the system? Drugs all through the house before mom and dad went to prison. Throw me in jail and give me a fine? Someday I'll be dead and away from your kind. Now I'm at the courthouse in front of a judge. Can't say my public defender cares for me much. Crimes are committed on both sides of the law. God help me now with this probable cause. C-shift never gets old. Anything can happen when you're out on patrol. You think I'm just eating donuts, man? Give me a break. Nothing on this job is a piece of cake. Lights and sirens activated. This knucklehead wants to chase. Baby mama at the scene just spit in my face. Wife's worried that someday I won't be pulling up at all. You'll read about my killer in a probable cause. Man. She went through my phone and she seen my text. I told her forget it. It was just my ex. She took a swing and knocked me flat. Man, I went wild to get her back. Judge slapped me with a no contact order. Now she's got the kids and she's staying with her mother. So she started it all and I have to take the fall. You can read my whole story in the probable cause. When I was young, caught a case for dealing and did my time. Yeah, I got a record, but I was doing fine. Running my own business on the southeast side. Yeah, I got a gun. I kept it on hand. Told the cop my reason, thought he'd understand. In this neighborhood, you need some protection. Attorney thought I could get just community corrections, but the judge decided to send me to prison. Can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. Read the probable cause, it'll make you
Whispers
cry.
and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause. Hello, everyone. This is the Probable Cause podcast. I'm Jamie Duffy, a local journalist, and today I will be interviewing Bri Andrews. She is a lot of things, and I think of her as an up-and-coming individual who's going to make a difference in Fort Wayne and Allen County, and maybe beyond that, not sure. Right now, she is the president of the Allen County Young Democrats. But as like I said, she does a lot of other things. She is, correct me now here, she's in Bring It, Push It, Own It, which is an organization that helps young girls in the city, including incarcerated individuals. She's also a member of the local Black Panther organization. She is also associated with Reform Alliance that was founded by Jay-Z and Meek Mill, who are both rappers, very well-known local national rappers. I mean, who hasn't heard of Jay-Z? All right, did I leave anything out? She's also a model and goes all over the state of Indiana, and we'll have to see some of the things that she's appeared in. So welcome, Bri Andrews.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your work with the Allen County Young Democrats. What do you hope to accomplish with that group? Because, all right, I just want to say, the Democrats are not in power here, not in power locally, and they're not in the state. Even though we have, yes, a Democrat mayor, the Republicans seem to win every contest. So what do you, as one of the young Democrats, hope to accomplish?
Yeah, so that's a good point. And I think part of that, we need to continue serving on as far as like what is getting in our way. Why are we not connecting to the rural counties as much as we need to in order to make sure that this is a fully swept kind of race? And so making sure that we're doing surveys within the community to truly advocate for the things that they're wanting to see for our community and for our city and for our state, connecting to those rural counties and making sure that their voices are being heard and that we are pushing, one voice. A lot of times we try to tell people not to be one issue voters, and there's a reason why you shouldn't be a one-issue voter, but we've seen how the Republicans organized on one issue and were able to push through the way that they did. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere or get on any site without seeing the price of eggs. I mean, like, that was the one kind of like, I mean, they had other things, but like that was kind of like their one issue like focus. And when when they were able to band everyone together and focus on that initiative, I mean, they pulled through on people's thinking, because we were like, we won't go back. They said the prices of eggs are through the roof. I mean, you had to think about what some people would align with the most. And while we might align with, we won't go back because we have a center focus on, people first and, community initiatives that surround our people and the dismantling of those things that matter most to us, what we've worked hard to, implement. But they, a lot of people, if they don't have that understanding about what goes on with those different populations and communities or those different initiatives, they're going to go with what they know, which is eggs, which is groceries, which, that affects everyone.
So catchphrases are actually very, very important.
I mean,
and
they
that's
are.
what the local Democrats maybe need to do that.
Yes.
I think you're involved in decriminalizing homelessness.
I am. My Allen County Young Democrats organization has been championing the opposition of that bill. We've been at numerous legislative sessions at the State House. We've rallied support within the community to call legislators and the authors of that bill to ask and urge them to kill that bill.
Do you want to say what that bill is and what it's talking about?
So it is House Bill 1662. It is the criminalization of homelessness in Indiana. You will see some amendments that have been made to the bill, so the verbiage has changed a bit. Initially, it was really kind of a very clear point of view of we're criminalizing homelessness and we'll be incarcerating the unhoused population,
which they already do.
Unhoused community members. When
the jail is full of, I believe, homeless people. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. When
Go
they're
ahead.
Anywhere, they use the verbiage tents or camps, or having personal belongings in any city funded community areas of the city. Basically is how they were kind of putting it. And then they made some amendments to the verbiage recently, as recently as yesterday, and they are also discussing it today as of like right now while we're doing this. So I had made some calls earlier this morning in opposition of it too, and made a post on social media letting people know to keep calling and keep urging. And even with this new amendment, the amendment was basically that they want to say, well, we're going to give them a warning with a ticket first, and then if they do it again knowingly after this warning, then we're going to give them a Class C misdemeanor. And I'm like, you can't give warnings to the unhoused. What are they supposed to do with that? Okay, the warning is here, but now, like, what am I supposed to do tomorrow? And I don't have enough of a warning. I don't have enough resources. There's not enough resources out there for them to make a decision or find another place to be that quickly. So a warning ticket is not helpful. It doesn't alleviate any sort of pressure that misdemeanor is going to carry. And if they're arrested, then we'll have additional issues of they have a misdemeanor connected to their record. They'll try to get out. They won't be able to find housing, let alone a job with that misdemeanor being on their record. It will create more obstacles for them. And coincidentally enough, the sheriff's department,
they're opposing it as well?
They have opposed it because
I don't blame them.
It will take away additional law enforcement resources. So I just want to get the exact wording correct, but it is the Indiana Sheriff's Association opposed it because it would take away from their law enforcement resources that they already don't have because they're already understaffed and the jails are already overpopulated. So we've been championing, we've been boots on the ground, we have gone to some churches, we've been posting on social media, we've gone to different community events. The last one we went to was the Vincent Village Community Health Fair, which they serve some of the unhoused population as well. We've talked to Misfits, which is a nonprofit that serves the unhoused community. So just letting them know, like, we have to rally, we have to be on one accord here, that this is an issue, that this is a bill that needs killed.
Well, what I want to ask you, though, is as a young Democrat, and I know it's a really tough problem, there's no doubt about it, but do you have some kind of solution?
So my solution, so I'll give you two parts. So for my organization specifically, education is key. You know, I'm president of the Young Democrats because I want to provide a space for young people to not only have their voices heard, but to actually have their expertise and their knowledge leveraged and utilized. We deserve to be in position. We deserve to be at the table and a part of the conversation, because we have a lot to bring to the table. And many times we're overlooked because we don't have the tenure or the seniority or the time and experience in there, but we don't let that stop us from being boots on the ground and actually doing the work. And so, you know, education, I bring people in to speak to us, to provide us education. They're not allowed to just come in and speak about themselves. If they come in and speak to us at one of our meetings, they have to tell us how to be the next them. They have to show us the path that they took, their journey, and put us and help us be in position for our political careers. We have people that will come in and teach us how to write policy, and then we go to legislative sessions and we learn about the bills and the process, and then we meet with the legislators and introduce ourselves, let them know our names, and know that we're partnering with them or against them on certain things, because without us, I truly feel like we are the future and that we move the needle, and people just need to wake up and pay attention and know that we're here to step in position for our political careers as well, to take our city and our community to the next level.
So why do I feel like I'm talking to the next Jasmine Crockett?
Oh my God.
I know. So, but back to that, do you have a solution? I mean, So what I have done is spoken to some of the people that serve this community and population specifically. I believe that we need to go to the experts. I have spoken to some affordable housing coalitions and some of the homelessness initiative coalitions. But I really think we just need to the legislators need to bring those experts to the table and start going over what a true solution is for this issue, because incarcerating them is not a solution. It's a quick fix, and we are not in the business of quick fixes. We're in the business of people first. It's always people over politics is what it should be. So bringing the people that are actually working with this community and that know the numbers, know the statistics, know the obstacles that they face, and figuring out how to collaborate with their knowledge and expertise to come up with a solution. I do not have all of the answers because I am not an expert in this area, but I am very open to collaborating with them and connecting them with whoever they need to be connected to be at the table to help come to a solution. No, you have to have the will to want to solve it, and I'm not sure that's down at the State House. The other thing that you've been involved in, and I think is very interesting, I've written about it a lot here and in New Jersey, well, not so much here, but in New Jersey, is the whole immigration situation. I believe you were advocating for immigration issues, let's put it that way.
So I have a couple of young Dems who are in the Latina community, and they have published published a petition against a bill surrounding ICE. So what I do as an ally of that cause and an ally of that initiative, I call myself an ally because I do not feel that I'm an expert in that situation, not dealing with it myself. But I create questions. I take questions to my young Dems that are fighting that initiative, and make sure that basically surveying them, giving those questions to the mayor, giving those questions to other legislators to find out more information, because I think what happens is miscommunication at the national level when things are being put out so quickly through the media. we actually don't have the opportunity to pull back the layers and look through the verbiage and see, where those loopholes are and what ways we can protect, what ways we can get around things. We also have done red letter cards, which have instructions on what to do if ICE comes to your door, both in English and in Spanish, and how to best advocate for yourself. And so I've been passing those around, but I do not feel like I'm the expert in that area. I would definitely leverage my 2 Young Dems for their knowledge in any area surrounding that. But that was an initiative that we had as a part of our Fight for Your Rights protest that we did recently.
Well, let me ask you this then. The Reform Alliance, it's the Prison and Justice Coalition. Is that the same thing as the Reform Alliance?
So the Reform Alliance is a prison and jail reform group, yes.
So have you been active in that? I mean, I know you're working with them now. It does have some big names, Jay-Z and Meek Mill.
So they're like the founders and the funders of it. It was started based on Meek Mill's situation of incarceration. I obviously have no contact with them, but
maybe you will.
Maybe.
It's totally possible. We're Fort Wayne. We're big now.
Mm-hmm. So Miranda Williams is the head over the Indiana chapter of the Reform Alliance, because it is a national organization with chapters in various places. So over the Indiana chapter is Miranda, and I look to her as a mentor for that. And so she signed me up as a coalition member, and we have connected on some different bills and some different opportunities in community outreach events as well. They're very helpful with funding. So for some of the other things that I'm looking to build, they are going to be a part of that process as well.
Well, that's going to be interesting. And if there is something coming up, I would love to know about it. So what I asked Bri was, so who's paying your bills? She's got all these things going on. So I know that that you are a coordinator for Bring It, Push It, Own It, which is for young girls and to gain confidence and feel good about themselves and strive, right? But you are a treatment advocate for the National Youth Advocate Program. I believe that's what your main job is right now.
Yes.
If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been working in healthcare for a very long time. So
She's all of 27, but she has moved up the ladder.
I just turned 28.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yes, I'm getting up there more. But yes, I have ever since I was 18, 19, in some sector of healthcare, and just trying to continue growing up the ladder as much as possible, opening different opportunities for myself and the flexibility of my schedule, and working the floor, during being the designated COVID unit for a couple of years as a manager for cardiac telemetry. And then I just saw the disconnection between who was working on the floor and who was working in corporate. And so I made it my kind of mission to grow to corporate level leadership and make sure that I was able to advocate for my employees and my coworkers that were working on the floor who were not getting the treatment that we deserved.
And the PPE at first.
Yeah, telling us to go and initially telling us to treat patients when it first started, treat patients as we were told to treat them as negative until proven positive, when really we should have been told to treat them as positive until proven negative to better protect ourselves.
I know, I would have been terrified.
But yeah, so anyways, I did make it up to corporate, and I did corporate leadership for about 2.5, almost 3 years, and then separated and went to the hospice agency to manage a program within the hospice agency, and as a full-time and a part-time sector with the treatment as a treatment advocate for the National Youth Advocate Program. The National Youth Advocate Program is a national organization that helps facilitate foster care, getting families to be foster families and foster parents, and then helping with that transition for youth to being in foster care and aiding in that transition as far as resources, guidance, and mentorship. So as a treatment advocate, I would be able to be assigned a case, or in my case, this would be the kids that I'm assigned to, being able to pick them up and talk them through anything.
These are local kids?
It would be throughout Indiana.
Okay.
So Fort Wayne, South Bend, different surrounding areas. It could be all over Indiana, but mostly within about a couple hours in distance. But yes, picking them up, we can go to the library, the Y, and different safe places for them to be able to talk about anything that they're going through, and being that buffer advocate for them with their foster families and with the program, advocating if they're going through anything that they're not able to talk about. Because I also know what that's like as a child, being forced to silence with my background, so that's really why I stepped into this.
And we're going to get to that. The National Youth Advocate Program, is that federally funded by any chance? That's what makes me worried, because a lot of federal programs are getting slashed right now. But
I actually don't know for sure. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I can look that up, though.
But I mean, right now you haven't heard anything.
No, yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I mean, I would think that would. So I think with all these activities, and you know,
And of course, I'm a mom, so that never
you're a
goes out
mom
of the way.
too, a cute little 9-year-old. Oh my gosh, what a cute kid. But why did you come to this? Not everybody has that need to fight for social justice and other things like that. What brought you to all of these activities and your passion, really?
So my background is I am a childhood survivor of physical abuse. There's a lot of physical abuse that went on in my childhood throughout my younger years, all the way up until I was turning 14 years old. All I knew was abuse and basically just having to survive.
Was it physical abuse and yelling and?
Very physically volatile. I would say, yeah, there was yelling, but I could deal with the yelling a lot more than I could deal with the physical of being choked, punched, and thrown into windows and doors and body slammed and all of the things. So.
And you've been very open with your story. If you could share it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So my father was really struggling with PTSD. It was military-induced PTSD from his time in the Navy.
Well, he was a Navy SEAL.
He was a Navy SEAL, a Gulf War vet, and a cybersecurity officer for the Navy. So a lot of things that he had to endure and go through and see, and that changes you. It changes people. But on top of that, I think more than anything, it just added to his additional trauma. He had a lot of childhood trauma from things that occurred in his childhood with sexual assault, molestation, and abuse as well. And so whenever a man goes through something like that, not only do they have, things where they're fighting homophobia, they're fighting, mental blocks, they're fighting questioning themselves, and they're fighting rage and anger for not being able to control their situation or fight back.
Absolutely.
And then you add the Navy and all the things that come with being in the military on top of that. And truly, when I was experiencing this abuse with him, I truly don't feel like it was my father. I don't feel like I experienced who my father was for a long time, because I would get flickers with him, little spurts and times that I remember being like a daddy's girl, but for the most part, I would see the other side that was stricken with mental illness and being blocked by this trauma that was controlling his mind. And I say mental illness because when he was having these blackout rage episodes, I truly did not see him present within himself. I could see his eyes being black, like a full visual picture of this to me. And so that's how I know it was mental illness. I know it was not my dad. And
it was induced from that. He wasn't born that way. It was induced.
Correct.
And so keep going.
So there was some drinking there as well that contributed, but he found out he was allergic to something in beer, had to stop drinking, wasn't able to drink anymore, coincidentally how that works. And then he had done some different programs, I think through AA and some of the normal ones, but they didn't work. So I found myself in a position where I just wasn't able to just leave. My two older sisters had already left the home. One sister left and ended up in an abusive relationship for a little while. Another older sister, she ran away and was kind of couch hopping with other people, and it was just left me and my 2 younger siblings. And I kind of joke about it with them now. We had to go through a lot of healing, but I kind of joked about it now with my older sister, who I'm very close with, and I'm like, I didn't know we got to leave. I didn't know that was an option, like, right. Because I felt very stuck there. I felt very
your mother was
responsible.
You're very close to your mother, I think.
Yes, I am. We went through some things too as well, because for me, it was hard for me to see her continue to go back to my dad during that time when we would leave a lot and we would stay with other family members. I feel like my grandpa became like my second father, because he was helping raise me and was, my close confidant and best friend. And, I would stay with my great aunt sometimes. We're always, staying with someone whenever we would leave, but we always end up back there. And she has a different type of reasoning as to why she was there. She was having her words with God and her conversations with God, and there was a plan. I've sat her down and gone through it, because again, we had a lot of issues with that. But she walked me through the conversation she was having in prayer, and at the end of the day, she was being told that all of this is going to work for your good, and I have a plan and purpose for this. Hang in there, everything is going to be okay. And when I think about it from my own faith background, not everyone has a strong faith background, and I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in the concept of religion. I find that it's very divisive, but I do believe in my own personal relationship with God, and I can see how God protected me. I should not be. A lot of the situations that occurred, I shouldn't even be alive today. Some of the situations that occurred, I should have bruises that would stay with me forever. I should have many issues that stayed with me forever. I didn't have a single bruise. Even when my ear was bleeding from being punched, I had no bruises, no marks, no incredible injuries that stuck with me. So I can see how God kept me. I did have to go through some really hard things, but God kept me through it, because on the other side of it, I am now able to share my story and utilize it as my platform that has led me into numerous opportunities and connections to help other people that are still in their trauma era, to bring them out into their survivor era so that they can be in their leadership era, because we have to cross through. And I had a lot of issues with my dad and no relationship, and would constantly, even when he promised after the very last incident where he nearly killed me, but he wasn't present. And when he came to and saw what he was done, he began shaking, jumped in his car and drove off.
And he was gone for a few days.
He was gone. He came back, and I was laying on the couch, and he was sitting there and sobbing. And that was the first time I ever seen my dad cry. And he was saying, I don't know what is wrong with me. I don't know, I can't control this. I don't know what's happening, but I will never put my hands on you again. I will never hurt you again.
Did you believe him?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not have any faith in that promise, and I continued to challenge him. I just spent years protecting my siblings in whatever way I could, putting myself in the way of harm's way. And now that I have this promise, now I have the opportunity, to kind of fight back on him. So I was fighting back before, but always in fear and out of just trying to fight him off or in survival mode. But now I was challenging him. And I did. I was a hellion. I started having a lot of attitudes. I was really disrespectful. I was doing whatever I could to get him, basically to relapse. He never did.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was, the whole time, during that time, he was in Celebrate Recovery, and he was working the steps. He had done the 12-step program that the Celebrate Recovery provides, and he was also doing a self-inventory step study to work on the root of his trauma from the beginning of his age to his current present time. And while he was doing that, I was raising hell, so to speak, and he did not relapse once. There was times where he was just shaking in anger and just walk away, but he never relapsed on me. So
that is really an amazing thing. Because it would be like, us giving up food. You know, I mean, when they're keep going.
It was, but that was a call out to me, that I could begin having a little bit of faith in this, but even more so, I wanted to really know what it was that he was experiencing, the reason why he was able to then become more having control and constraint. So I put myself through the Celebrate Recovery program, and I did the self-inventory step study. I also went through the youth version of Celebrate Recovery called The Landing, and I did all the books, all the steps, and I came out of it, actually wanting to forgive him and wanting to have a relationship with him. And I never thought that was going to happen. Honestly, I had kind of written him off, and I said, I don't have a father. My only father is, my grandpa. And that was okay with me until I went through that. And I saw the importance of taking what he was going through, the mental illness, the abuse, and the trauma, and disassociating that with my father and who he actually was. And then I wanted to have a relationship with him. I wanted to love him, and I wanted to connect with him, and I wanted to tell him that I understood.
And you did that.
And I did. And now we have a great relationship, and he has really tremendously worked on himself. He's a counselor and a pastor now as well, and he's a chaplain in the jail, and he does what he needs to do to share his experiences, and it's inspired me to share my story. And I used to not share who my abuser was when I was going through that. I never said it was my father. I would use the word he. And I would just say he did, and then he put me through, and because I never wanted any scrutiny to come to my father on the back end. But one time I was speaking at a mental health and trauma wellness event, and I was sharing my story, and again I used the word he, and he stood up in front of everyone, raised his hand, and he said, I am he. I am the one who abused my children, and I am forever in their debt. And he'd give his whole speech and proclamation. And after that, I began saying my father and his name, because I knew that the testimony is powerful.
It is. So let's just talk a little bit about your personal life. Not that that wasn't your personal life, but I think of you as also part of a power couple in town.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk a little bit about Rolando Rencher, everybody has to know now he is a famous rapper on a regional basis even.
Yeah.
Did he perform with somebody really well known a couple of years ago?
Many people. He's opened up for Kevin Gates. Ludacris.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
Lil Wayne. Yeah.
So,
and
but I think
the
two of you, are obviously in love, because I see the Facebook posts. But I think you share something like the need to make the world better. If you want to talk a little bit about that and your son.
Yes. So part of my, I think we all know that whenever someone experiences trauma as a child, it typically affects their teen years and their adult years, and you don't know which direction they're going to go into. They could go into, where they're really into, drugs and alcohol, or maybe they'll be, in and out of jail, or they'll be really codependent. For me, it had me in my codependency and wanting to find love at a young age. I was in high school, trauma bonding and, connecting myself to boys that had no capability of handling the type of thing that I went through.
Teen boys anyway.
Yeah.
I raised two of them, I know. Okay.
So at 17 going on 18, I trauma bonded with someone who had a similar background of abusive father, but he actually fought his dad off and kicked his dad out of the house. Ooh. So to me, that was like, you can be my savior, you can set me free from, what I'm having to deal with. And so I actually ended up getting pregnant at 18 during my senior year of high school. And I had to overcome a lot of stigmas that were attached to being the young, black, single teen mom. And that was, pregnant. So, that comes with a lot, but, no one really took the time to understand how I got into that position. I wasn't sleeping around. I wasn't, being promiscuous and, all of that, but I was just trying to find love, and it just kind of happened that way. So anyways, I ended up in a relationship with him, And by the time I had my son was 6 months old, and we were breaking up, and I was getting kicked out of the apartment, and I was left without anything because I had, I wasn't working during my pregnancy. He had asked me not to quit my job, and so I was fully dependent upon him, and that was a mistake that I will never make again.
Was he the same age?
Yeah, he was 1 year older than me.
Okay.
And so, I took back control over my life, put myself in position, took every opportunity that I could to learn about myself as a parent, and took parenting classes, put myself in every type of assistance program that I needed in order to get to where I needed to be so that I didn't need it anymore. And then I started creating the life that I wanted to live and creating the life that I wanted to have for my son. It took a lot of, so there's a lot of trials and tribulations, and there were some other relationships that didn't work out in between that. But I feel like I met Rolando at the perfect time in my life because I was just at a different space. It was, coming into a whole different journey of life and a whole different platform of things that I was going to be getting into that I didn't even know about at that time. But when we connected, it was like everything started aligning. I don't attribute it fully to that relationship, but, it did. He is the one who introduced me to the Black Panther organization. He was already in the Black Panther Party as a member, and then as we were in our relationship, we both became first lieutenant officers in the Black Panther organization. And we have continued to pour into one another. And we've had to overcome a lot of different trials as well because he wasn't, exactly in the space or in the mental and emotional space that he needed to be in order to be a partner. And I wasn't always in the space to be as forgiving of a partner and the things that we were having to face. But once we got through those things, once we got through those trials, we were closer than ever. Truly my absolute best friend, and truly the person that I can see, my life and future with. And we pour into each other and we support each other in every capacity that we're in. And you don't really see us without one another.
So, and another thing I think we should bring up is the Black Panther organization is not an organization to fear. They were originally giving kids school lunches and things like that. And I think that's what you are trying to do too.
Yes. So the original Black Panther Party organization began with two sides to it. There was two leaders. One leader had more of the initiative to kind of fight back and be on defense mode and want to, and kind of more of a violence focus. And then another leader had more of the implementation of the different programs for kids and families in the communities, and they wanted to make sure that they were serving those communities. That other leader fought back against that, saying that we were utilizing too many resources for that and not enough resources towards the militia aspect of it by having guns and weapons. And so that tends to happen. You don't always have people that are always going to be aligned perfectly, especially when there's so much that was going on. People were outraged, and our people were outraged at how we were being treated and dismissed and
exactly.
And being hurt. And one person just wanted to fight back and make sure that people knew that someone was protecting them, and another person wanted that protection and that covering over our community, but they also wanted to implement our own resources for our community so we weren't having to depend on the government. We could depend on a for us, by us system. And so they did separate, and one person went that way and the other person that went that way. My chapter and my entire organization, stemming from my headquarters in Virginia, went with this leader, who we do our own self-defense training. We do have protective measures in place, and we do carry weapons in outdoor community events where we need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves in the community. But we are a for us, by us organization that focuses on implementing and creating initiatives for our people in our community. So I don't want to get too far into it because media style, we're supposed to be gearing those media discussions through our general. So I want to make sure that I'm not crossing any lines and boundaries surrounding my leadership to make sure that he's able to be speaking on behalf of that. But I will say, as a for us, by us organization that does not get any funding from the government, that everything that we have, we are paying out of our own pocket from our dues and from anything that we receive community donations wise, and we pour it back into the community with the events that we've organized, like back to school drive giveaways and winter clothing giveaways and Thanksgiving turkeys that we had given away numerous years in a row now. Our rally, No More Silence Rally Against Women's Violence event, which stemmed from the MLK No More Silence Rally. So where we give a platform to women to be able to tell their story about dealing with various kinds of abuse all over, physical, sexual, emotional, financial, all of it. And we honor them and give them honorary certificates, Panther certificates, to let them know that they are survivors and leaders, and we look to them as the powerful women that they are. And we urge the community and urge our male allies to protect them and to call people out when you see that a woman is being put in an unsafe situation. So we have a lot of different events that we do, a lot of different events that we've collaborated with, but in all, it's to protect our community, to implement things for our community, and so that our community can depend on us and depend on the resources that we provide without having to go to the government for everything. So we actually get no
anybody who wants to
funding.
support you, should they go on Facebook?
We have a Facebook page. We have a website. The Facebook page for Fort Wayne is the original Black Panther Party Fort Wayne. And then we also have the main one on Facebook, which is connected to our Virginia chapter. Any Black person can apply to be a Black Panther if you have that desire to be a Black Panther, and you'll send your application through the main headquarters, and they will send it back to us, or because you're connected to Fort Wayne, or if your Fort Wayne address is on there. And then anyone who is not Black can be a ally of the Black Panther organization. You can be at our events, you can help with donating and funding, and just re-sharing that narrative, the true narrative of who we are and what we do.
Awesome. And then the Allen County Young Democrats, do you also have a Facebook page where people can explore?
Yes, it's called the Allen County Young Dems. And my Facebook page is Bri Andrews. So the Allen County Young Dems page is tagged on there, so you can find that through me, or you can just search Allen County Young Dems. And anything that we're doing, anything that we're posting, anything that we're fighting in opposition of or for is going to be on that page.
I mean, this is one incredible young lady right here. Is there any last word you want to have before we sign off from the probable cause?
I don't know when this is going to be premiering, but our meetings for Allen County Young Dems are every third Thursday of the month. So it's actually technically today at 6:30 p.m. will be our Black History Month meeting. And then the next one will be our Women's History Month meeting, which will be on March 20th at 6:30 p.m. At the main library downtown. So just keep an eye out. There's also many other organizations and caucuses that we partner with that are doing different things. There are ways for you to get involved. We know everyone is busy and has schedules already going, but there's a calendar of events, and you can just pick and choose what you want to do and partner with to be, that much a part of us getting that change that we deserve and that we require.
That's awesome. This is Bri Andrews. She is the president of the Allen County Young Democrats, and we're signing off. Jamie Duffy, The Probable Cause. Until next time. This episode is filmed and edited by Frosty Pictures. The Probable Cause is produced by Maumee Media.